guys, and welcome to another card making video. This time I thought we would play around with the cat Scrappiness current challenge that is out there. And I found a really cool fancy fold that I wanted to try that doesn't actually use much in the way of additional paper. So let me show it to you. So it's just 11 inches by 5.5. You see I misscored this a little bit. But anyway, you're going to put three folds in it, and it's going to be Valley Mountain. Well, I think the way these measurements work, yeah, it's Valley Mountain Valley, basically. Or if you do it this way, it's the other way. I think I actually scored it on the, as you can see, this paper has a little bit of a texture on one side. And I like that on the back to just make it easier to hold on to. Anyway, back on task here. It is scored at along the 11-inch side at 4 1/4, which is this one, 7 and 9 3/4. So when you put it together, you basically get a bunch of areas you can decorate. So essentially, then you're going to put panels here, here, and here, and those are 5.5 by 1, 2.5, and 4 respectively. And then on the inside here, we're going to put well, let me bring these over so you can see the colors I picked. So these are the pieces of pattern paper. I kind of like this progression from sort of a light blue to like a dark teal. And the sentiment I picked is, well, I have sort of a sentiment and a sub-sentiment, but I thought I would do relax and then you're totally awesome. And so for the inner white part that goes here, I just stamped out the turtle in navy or dress blues from Catherine Pooler. And yeah, that is those are the card panels. And then the other piece to this whole thing is that you have a sentiment panel which you can mount really anywhere along here you want, but essentially you would cut it twice, and then so you'd get one that would sort of open to a second one that would then open to the inside. So I stamped out "You're Turtly Awesome," and this I left blank because I'm going to use this relax word die, which was in the last release. That is this guy, and then I used the third smallest stitched rectangle. Oop, here you go. This guy to cut out those panels. And it should be pretty easy to bring together. Again, this feels more like something I would use wet glue for. I'm going to start in reverse, sort of, by getting the sentiment glued to its backdrop. The color theme for this challenge was navy, teal, and coral. And I didn't have coral in any of my, like, 300 million differing, you know, colors that I happen to have on hand. So I picked some up yesterday, but the challenge runs through the 15th, so I just wanted to get this done. And I'm also experimenting with shorter videos in that obviously I pre-cut all this stuff, so we're really just explaining and putting the color to get the panel together. Let me see if I have my tweezers over here somewhere. Here we go. With these guys, I always find that like picking them up with the tweezers makes your life a lot easier because it's easier to position them. I almost always do that, and then you have a little bit of extra glue floating around, but this line code gives you some time to work, so basically we just want to make sure that we are aligned. Oops. Then we can just sort of move it around a little bit. This dries pretty clear, so you will get a little bit of over gluing, but it's not too bad. I usually I just grab a wet wipe and will sometimes just come in and like dab off any like really big areas of excess glue. Be a little careful depending on how the paper's colored. But basically that's what we got. So I'm going to let that dry while we put the rest of the card together. or I should say, where we get the rest of our panels on, and then we will get this all squared away. Uh, Apart from the dies, I am using the Friends Under the Sea pad, and then of course the stamp set that goes with it. So I don't know. I've been getting a lot of use out of this particular pad, challenges or not, just because I don't know, it's just really cute. These are very cute animals, and I think that's definitely a win. So I'm going to put this one on here first. This cardstock I picked up from Hobby Lobby, and it's, I'll say, on the lighter weight side. I did actually flip this over when I scored it to make things a little bit easier. And I'm not seeing where I put my bone folder, of course, but... here we go. Um, so these bone folders, while being good at folding, are also great for squeegeeing out glue. While we're here, we can put this panel, and you do actually with this have the ability to almost have 3 sentiments, because you got this white panel, but you've also gotten the 2 little panels. So depending on how you want the final card to look, you have a lot of flexibility. And then we'll just do this. Since I was using the relaxed sentiment, I thought turtles looked the most relaxed of the various creatures that were in the stamp set. At least having seen seals and some other stuff that don't generally act relaxed. I guess whales seem fairly relaxed because they're just sort of chilling and swimming all the time. Um, so I hadn't seen this particular fold before, but I really like it. It came from a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, so that's where I originally found it on YouTube. You can see here we're basically using the same pattern, or the same piece of pattern paper, just the alternate sides. So we're getting a lot of use out of all of our supplies today, which is always kind of cool. Not that I mind buying single-use stuff, but if you can get more, hey, that's even better. So I'm kind of liking how this is looking. The pattern paper definitely is doing its job, and it's really reinforcing the weight of the cardstock, which is more like, I don't know, probably like a 160 pound kind of cardstock. So we can either, I think I will put this layer down, and then I'll put the other layer down last. I'm going to use wet glue. We probably only want to go about, I don't know, a third or a halfway across, basically to make sure that we're not, to make sure that we can get this sort of aligned. I like this sort of centered, but not entirely, if that makes sense. Um, then we can sort of just grab a relax. This is pretty much together. I'll say with the line co, you pretty much can start working with it in, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds or so. But if it's a more complicated piece, I tend to let it sit. And I really think the stitched rectangles here really kind of add some nice detail. If you wanted, you could, of course, ink blend around the sides if you wanted to pull either the teal or the coral or really any of those in here. And then all we really need to do is see how much of this is free. So it's really just this side edge. So I'm just going to put one bead of glue down. I think that'll work. We want to make sure we don't want to glue the card shut effectively. So we will just push and hold and then turn it up, and we don't have glue, and that is fantastic. And I like this. I think it could just use a few of these very small sort of epoxy dots just to sort of bring the teal into the front of the card. So I think I'll do 2 here and then maybe 1 itty bitty one. That looks a little too centered. Yeah, I like that. And there we go. So this is my entry in the challenge. You see it says relax, have a totally awesome day, and then you have a place to write a message, and you can also use this piece too. Like if you're more the kind of person who puts a note in it in a card, you could certainly use a sticky note on this end piece of pattern paper. But thanks for checking this out, and have a great day.